This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Rick Rubin. I'm the Vice Chair for Post Outreach and Engagement for the Academy of Fellows XC. And this is our first town hall of the year, so I'm excited about doing that and appreciate everybody joining in and getting involved and contributing. We're going to do things a little bit different on this time around. In the past, we've done updates from all of the XC members to open up the meeting, but today we're gonna do that at the end so we can really get into the meat of the matter today. And if you're not speaking, please keep your camera and your mic off. And then when you do speak, just say who you are, and if you have something to say, who you are and where you're from, that'd be great. I think what I'll do is give you just a little preview. So today we're going to have an update on the boundary changes, the region boundary changes from Jill Murphy at SAME, and then we have two fellows from class of 2019, Lorene Brochener and Christine Sy, and they're going to give us their take on things that relate to their commitment statements. One is related to high school outreach, and one is related to developing leaders in unrepresented groups and small businesses. So we're looking forward to that. But one of the key things today is I'm hoping to get some feedback from all of you, from the regional fellows points of contact, about what do you want to see in future meetings and how can we make these meetings more meaningful and valuable. So be thinking about that in the back of your mind. But I think before we get rolling on the boundaries, I'm going to ask Charlie, our chair, to just give a little welcome and say a couple of words.
Thanks, Rick, very much. Good afternoon, everybody from San Antonio, Texas, and Happy New Year to those that I haven't seen in person in a long time. I really look forward to seeing many of you at Capitol Week, and hopefully you're gonna make plans and be able to attend the Golden Eagle celebration dinner as well. That'll be great. This is the first town hall that we've had since we went through the process of selecting the class of 2022. So I wanted to offer just a few words to talk about our process. We've learned a lot. We learned a lot going through it this year. The executive committee is a good mix of almost half and half, new and experienced, and I replaced Mark as the chair, and it's been a pleasure to work with the XC. So first off, my thanks go out to the XC for all their hard work to work through that process. But some key points I want to make sure that everyone that's a fellow on this call or that maybe is listening in that wants to be a fellow, this is some blanket feedback we gave to the folks that were deferred in their selection. And the first comment that goes out is it's a package that meets the board, not the individual. The packages that were submitted were scored by the 8-person executive committee against the published criteria, and then we had robust discussion about them all. We all traveled in person to there, and then we voted on every package, and the bar is majority carries the day. So the had to have a minimum of 5 positives to carry the day. To be deferred is not unusual. That's the other important component. Many people grow into that role. I can tell you that from personal experience, and it is all the sweeter when selection as a fellow does come to know that you've met the criteria. And so that's important to know. The other thing that when we communicate deferrals back to those that weren't selected is continued volunteership at and the higher level the better is the best way that they can continue on their pursuit towards being a fellow. And then finally, for those that were selected for our class, our new class of fellows, they are now the 4th class that has had to craft commitment statements, how they are going to continue to serve the society. And so we, once the selection is complete, we work with them to make sure that those are as concise as they can be, that they are specific, hopefully something that's measurable and attainable. And so we've been working with those folks to refine those commitment statements, and then we use that information as the society. You know, I send that information out to the COI chairs and the vice presidents to say, here are these folks that are interested in these topics. They have leadership acumen to help move the society to the next level. So we offered, this year, for the first time, we had the nominators and the regional fellow points of contact do the notification of deferral. They are critical in this process, and that will continue next year as well. We ultimately believe that those are the best folks to communicate that. We also offered to have me give a personal debrief to those that requested it. I did that with a number of folks, and we received some good feedback the other way as well. Our process isn't perfect, and we're looking forward to that as well. So I urge you all to attend in the summer. We'll have a specific webinar about that, but before that, I will have a meeting with the RFPOCs to really hammer home the what we think are the key things that maybe held people up in their process. I'll just give a quick shout out to Lorraine and Christine. Thank you very much for being the value and living up to your commitment statements. And we look forward to hearing your presentations today. And thanks again to Rick and the XC team. Look forward to seeing everybody at Capital Week. Thanks, Rick.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. And I just want to say Charlie did a great job of herding the committee to make this all happen. So let's just jump right in, and I'm going to turn it over to Jill to talk about the regional boundaries, because I'm sure a lot of you may or may not be familiar with what's been going on. So Jill, it's all yours.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks everybody for having me today. Welcome to all our newest fellows, because the class was just recently announced, and it's really exciting to see so many new people joining the fellows. If you're not aware, we have just undergone what we call a regional realignment of all of our posts. We currently have 98 posts, as well as field chapters and then student chapters. And this was primarily done because we had regions that had 9, 10, 11 posts, and then regions that had 3 or 4. So we were trying to redistribute our posts, looked at them geographically. We also looked at them from a standpoint of, like, okay, what AFCAC region or USAID's region or NAVFAC, who's sort of in what category. And I know Bob Kieser's on the line today. He was instrumental in leading this, but as you go through, you can find, Kathy's got it on the screen, the posts by region. So we've got some newer named regions, but a lot of them are the same. So, California is still California, and Europe is still Europe. Gulf Coast is now a little bit more consolidated. We eliminated the lower Mississippi Valley region, so we sort of split that up. We split up Texoma, so we've now got Heartland, which is now got Miro Kirka back at the lead there as the RVP, and then Texas, which has Ben Matthews. You can see lots of fellows in the RVP role, and then some juggling in the Mid-Atlantic region. So I know Kathy and I have talked about regional fellows. There are a couple of gaps that I know she'll be working on with Rick and probably the rest of the executive board for the fellows. But that's kind of where we are. We just wanted to make it easier for our RVPs to navigate, since we've opened and closed posts in various locations over the last couple of years. And that's kind of it. Unless anybody has any questions or wants clarification on anything.
Yeah, this is Kevin Lovell. Why do we put Detroit instead of the lakes? Why do we put Detroit in the Ohio River Valley region?
I'll be honest, I'm going to let Bob answer that if he is still with us, because I didn't have anything to do with which posts exactly went where. But I know there was a rationale for putting posts in different regions.
There was a rationale, and I'll be honest, I can't remember what that was. We did have a conversation with the RVPs in that region over what the proper alignment was. And we had a team of about 5 people that worked on this, but we sent it out for review and comment probably 4 times and made adjustments as we went through. Again, it's been over a year when we did the original drafting of it, and I can't remember the rationale as to why we had to quite end up where it is. But I believe that was in part due to the, I think that one was due to geography.
Well, Bob, maybe we can during this call, if you can reach out to some of those that were on that team, we can put it in the thread if we get a little bit more rationale there. But Kevin, I'll tell you that Ohio State jokes, and so we'll maybe we're just keeping those 2 separate. But anyway, Bob, I appreciate that, and hopefully we can get a little bit more detailed answer out.
Okay, that's all I have to share with you today. So thanks for having me. And if you have questions, you can certainly reach out and I'll try and get you an answer.
Thank you, Jill. Appreciate that for doing that. I think at this point, we'll turn it over to Lorene. And I'd like Lorene and Christine both, when you talk, just reintroduce yourself and where you're from, and you can have the floor to talk about your commitment statement and what you're doing out there. Thank you.
Sure. Good afternoon. So my name is Lorene Borchainer. I've been involved with the SME Jacksonville Post since 2004 in various capacities, and I've been a fellow since 2019. As you saw on the agenda, I'm also the Chief of Engineering for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Jacksonville District. As the chair for the Education and Training Committee and a longstanding committee, endowment committee member for iPost, I've gotten involved and have the ability to leverage resources to support STEM, including things like scholarships, camps, and our post-engineering career day event. In 2019, my commitment statement was I will expand outreach to local schools by expanding the post participation in National Engineers Week, specifically our post-engineering career day. When Rick reached out to me about my commitment statement, I laughed a little bit because although we did very well in 2020 with our event, since COVID, it's been a lot of work to continue to engage students in the event. So today I'm just going to talk briefly about some of the challenges and our successes. So just a description, a little background on the program. We've sponsored this program in the Jacksonville Post for many years. This year is actually going to be our 20th annual event. It's an all-day event. It's held the Friday of Engineers Week, and typically we've held it on the first floor of the building that's occupied by the Jacksonville District Corps of Engineers. And so many of the volunteers, in fact, the majority, are from the Jacksonville District office. We have space for about 25 4-person high school teams, so about 100 kids and teachers from about a dozen schools in the region. We have a separate area where we set up booths so that Florida universities, agencies, including Army, Navy, and as well as engineering firms can set up and talk to students. We actually charge the business participants a small fee to participate that helps fund the event. And so it's been a really good event for our post. We touch a lot of students for what I consider a very reasonable cost. Every year we develop a theme for the event, so it's navigation or wind power or bridge design. And then we tie all of the activities that we do the day of the event to that theme. So I'll just run through some of the activities. Actually, you can skip back to 2018 first, and so really the activities for the day include a speaker that aligns with our theme. We also do competitive testing and ranking of a take-home problem that we provide to the students as far back as November, December timeframe, that they build and they design and they bring to the event to be tested. While that take-home project testing is ongoing, and you see one of those here, we give the students what we call a surprise problem that also aligns with our theme, that they construct on the day of the event that's tested and scored. We also provide them with a list of trivia questions, which requires them to visit each of the booths at the event and interact with the folks in the booth. So the team with the highest score for take home, for surprise problem, and then overall takes away either, and you can see we've got medals or the overall trophy, which the woman on the bottom right is holding to take back to the school. We call that the Stanley Cup of Engineering. Our judges for the day, so we include folks from industry. We have my Navy equivalent, the Navy Chief of Engineers participates each year. We have University of Florida's head of their civil engineering department. So we've got some great judges. And in addition, as you can see, we've got local Army Corps of Engineers on the left, as well as local Navy captains and other Navy staff that participate and assist in awarding the students at the end of the day. So I selected some of these students. This year's take-home challenge that you can see, and this is 2018, but it's indicative of 2019 or 2020. We do this every year, was to design a wind turbine. You see an example of that in the upper right. So the judges tested the projects by timing and measuring the distance that the turbine was able to raise a weight. Our surprise problem on the left required construction of a tower that could withstand loading under varying wind speeds, and you can see in one of the entries that was undergoing testing here. Now, if you skip to the next slide, I'm going to talk about 2021, which was very different. And due to COVID, we weren't sure, first of all, that schools would be interested in participating in a solely virtual event, which is what we held. So we polled them, and about half of the schools that typically participate were interested. So it was a learning experience for us. We came up with a plan to do a completely virtual event that we ran out of a conference room that you can see in the bottom right here, here at the Corps building or in the Corps offices. We sent out take-home project statements. Our theme this year was gyroscopes, and we rated them on their ability to rotate the longest. What we ended up doing was having timed videos that got sent to our judges in advance, and then those timed videos were rated and ranked. Our surprise problem this past year was delivered in sealed bags to the schools, and so you can see that in the bottom left photo. There's the sealed bags not to open till the day of the event. And we had always provided lunch for the students. So in this particular event, we had pizzas delivered to the schools. The surprise problems could be viewed virtually by all of the participants, and they actually were tested virtually by the school, by the students and the teachers, and then the results were provided to us. Our speaker presented from her core office in North Carolina at our Coastal Research Center. And we had a virtual guest appearance from the local Jacksonville District Colonel who was at a project site that day. And finally, you can see in that upper right-hand photo, our Lieutenant Colonel who presented virtual awards that we later delivered to the schools. So quite a different year last year. So where are we this year? So we don't have access to our first floor core building. We've located another venue in downtown Jacksonville. It's going to be a great venue for us. It's a little bigger than what we've had in the past. We were able to get a nonprofit REIT, which actually helped us keep our costs down. A little more challenging has been recruiting volunteers because there's a lot of people still working remotely. Florida COVID numbers are still up. We're doing box lunches instead of buffet. We've got nearly the same number of schools participating this year, but part of the reason for that was some schools that traditionally participate have limitations on travel. And so we opened up the event to some middle schools that are interested in participating. So that's new for us this year. We don't have exactly the same number of industry partners participating, but we've done some active marketing with them to ensure that they realize that there's still going to be a significant number of senior staff from Navy and Army that are part of the event that day. That's kind of what attracts them to the Corps office. Just in summary, I guess, we're considering what we've been doing as a learning opportunity, and it's definitely been a transitional time for us. We're expanding our knowledge of what more we can do, including middle schools, looking at alternative larger facilities to help us grow the event. And I think that we've discovered we've got a great opportunity to flex. And I'm optimistic about, successful future events for the SME Jax Post Engineering Career Day. That's really all I have.
Okay. Lorene, thank you so much for that. That was really informative and interesting. And, I'm probably like so many other people that when you see a commitment statement that's I'm going to help, develop a relationship with high schools and STEM, and then you hear it as a one-day event, your first reaction is that's it, one day. But then when you see this and you understand the work that goes into this and the number of people that have to be committed to it, to score and to think of the surprise project, it's really impressive. And I'm sure we all really appreciate what you're doing there, and it's a good blueprint for others.
Yeah, so thanks for that. So what I will offer is we start planning for this event in the September-October timeframe. And I know the kids put a tremendous effort in. Some of these kids are the same kids we're providing scholarships to as they go off to engineering programs in college. So it's been a good event for us for sure.
Well, again, thank you for stepping up. I know when I reach out to people, they're going, "Oh man, this guy's asking me to do what?" But I feel like I scored and I picked the right person. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Are there any questions for Lorene before we move on to our next guest? Maybe not. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So next up, we have Christine Tsai, and I want to say normally I feel like I'm the furthest person west on these calls, and I have to train myself to say good afternoon. But today, actually, Christine is calling in from Hawaii. She's on vacation. So aloha, Christine, and she probably has some flowers around her neck to speak to us. But thank you for doing that and carving out of your personal time there. And Christine's going to talk about what she's doing in the area of developing leaders in unrepresented groups and small business. So I'll just turn it over to you, Christine.
Yes, good morning, Rick. Actually, I'm here also with Rick Fernandez, one of our new semi-fellow this year. So good morning. I have been involved with SME since 2006. And my first day when I show up at the SME meeting, somebody approached me for a position as a treasurer. I guess apparently nobody wanted to be a treasurer at that time. So I have been involved with Hampton Roads Post since 2006, day one, being as a treasurer until when I left there 2013 as the post president. And every single year I had some kind of position, either the scholarship VP, the AE firm representative, the vice president for post membership. So that has been kind of my SME career. Then I moved to the Nova area and now being involved with Nova Post. More taking a step back, I'm just doing scholarship at this time. But in 2019, when I made fellow, I thought about what I did in 2018 when I organized a group of panelists for Jesse 2018. It was Heather Wisha-Smith, Kevin Lovell, and Albert Romano that I put together a panel called Advice for My Younger Self. So, and I thought about what I learned from that panelist. Basically, you got to look for a mentor at your younger age, and you want to have a sponsor, and that's, you know, your mentor talks with you, your sponsor really is the one that talks about you. And I thought about, I walk away with lift as you rise. So when I was working on my statement, I go, where can I really contribute and feel I can help people that they can relate with me. And I want to use this power of relationship and networking and kind of help a group of people kind of have similar background as me. So at that time, I was working for a small business, and I had a coworker that had never been to a SAME meeting. And, you know, first step, just get him involved with our SME, our post meeting at Nova. And then he got more involved on the SBC, the small business event. And then, you know, thankfully, he was also convinced to join the DC Nova. At that time, Maryland wasn't involved yet. It's the Leadership Development Program. I happened to be class number 1 when Bob Wolf started that program. And so I truly felt that was a really good program, that more people should really be part of that program. So from that time on, I had one person join that program, was a coworker of mine, and he started out as a construction manager and now with WSP as a project engineer. So it's really nice to see his career is being taking off. And now recently, also another young lady that she's a BD manager. So now it's very similar background as I am, but she's a bit shy and kind of, I saw her kind of tucking in the corner at our post meeting. So I kind of walk up to her and kind of introduce myself and ask her how long has she been with SME. She was very new. And then just from that, I kind of reach out to her and have her attend the graduation dinner for the Nova DC Maryland, the Leadership Development Program. So, and she's really pumped and excited. And so she's already been accepted for the 2022 program. So I am very excited to find out, you know, and watch her development. So those are the one that's kind of too local to Nova Post. I also volunteer myself for the national program. However, you know, not everything do work out. And for me, I thought the lessons learned for that one is, I think she was not co-located with me. We were doing a lot of things virtually. We finally met once, and it just, the time commitment wasn't there. And between geographic reason and time commitment, a lack of time commitment. And my feedback to the national program was, you know, it's not just me to make it happen, but the mentee also needs to you know, willing to invest time on that. So now I'm kind of a bit shy away from people that are further away and not co-located with me. So those are the things that are in a more individual basis. Then I thought about what I did in 2018, right? Advice for my younger self. And every year at Jesse, I always say, oh gosh, really don't want to do another one, but there's always something burning inside of me that I felt like I want to do something. So 2021 came. We were like, first year into COVID. There's a whole lot of things about diversity, equity, and inclusion. I feel like I needed to speak up about that one, especially seeing in the news a lot of Asian American being attacked, bullied. Um, of course, most of them a similar background as me. My parents are in New York, and they rarely step out of the house just because they were afraid of being attacked. So I put together that program. The topic was about successfully pivoting through organizational cultural change. And the part I focus on was the diversity, equity, and inclusion, where I was able to share some of my personal experiences. A lot of you might not know, it's kind of to imagine, right, that you've been attacked because of your race. When I started out my career, and I was being called chunk, and many of you may not know what that means. Chunk is really you're calling a fat Chinese, and for many of you know me, I was never like overweight my whole life, but being called a chunk, it was truly a personal attack. So I was able to share information like that. Is really to reach out to a broader audience, people who have similar background as me, that you are not alone. And within the Society of American Military Engineers, I feel I am respected. I feel I am loved by our in our membership, right? So those are the kind of things that I want to share. So outside of SME might not be as nice, but within SME, people, if they with a similar background or a similar experience, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to share of how I deal with such things. So I realized from Jesse with a leadership track, that's how I can reach out to more people than individuals that I feel I'm making an impact. 2020, I did another topic, again, very personal to me. Doesn't mean that I am the expert in the area. I want to know how to develop executive presence. And this is especially difficult for minorities, right? When you close your eyes, you think about the leaders that you respect. Many times it's really not women, not minority. So this is the part where I felt that I want to learn more about it. And again, I have Heather's support, and she talked about your external characteristics and your internal characteristics. We talk about charisma. We talk about your credibility, and you need to be poised. You need to be authentic, and internally, you need to be passionate. You need to be authentic again. So when I walked away from that session, people may forget exactly what you said, but they will never forget how you make them feel. So being that executive presence is not all about your external look. It's really about how you feel after you have spoken to that particular person. So I feel I have expanded my focus on the minority, the small business group, but was able to really share some of those advice with everyone who feel that they can benefit from it. That's it. All I have.
Thank you so much, Christine. I think I don't know that it's just minorities that benefit from that influence. I think everyone benefits from what you're saying because it helps everyone learn to, first of all, raise the awareness of what's going on. And it's really about, it's a mentoring thing, really. And that's, you know, one of the big things we're all about. So I appreciate what you're doing and I love the passion that's in it. And I'm sure everyone else does. And if anybody has any questions, we can open it up for a couple minutes.
Hey, Rick, I don't have a question, but I do have one comment, and that's thanks to both of our presenters today. Christine, on yours, I certainly appreciate you speaking out and speaking up. You know, part of the responsibility of being a fellow leadership and mentorship role that we tend to be the more seasoned folks out there, and so we have to lead by example, and you're doing just that by speaking out. The other thing that caught my ear when you were presenting was the comment about one of the things not being as successful as you hoped. And my message to fellows is embrace things and not be afraid to fail like you were your younger self. Usually when we get a little bit older, we tend to get a little bit more conservative, but I can tell you in the area of volunteership with SAME, I encourage folks to lean forward and take a bite of the apple. If it doesn't work out, that may be okay, but you never know unless you're taking that try. So thanks to you both for presenting. You guys are both inspirational and greatly appreciate it today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think next up, I think we're going to open it up to the folks on the call, and we'd really like to hear from you. It's a town hall, and a town hall is, you know, kind of like we're a community. It's a community meeting, and so, you know, I want to know how I can do better and how we can do better on these town halls. Are we looking for, you know, certain topics, outside speakers, and whatever else is on your mind? So please, if anyone has a suggestion, we'd love to hear it now. Well, I could guess that we're doing okay, and we'll keep looking. But I would just say, if things come to mind, we would encourage you to reach out to us ahead of time so that we can make these as meaningful as possible. So with that, I think we can go to our XC updates. Kathy, if you want, yeah, there we go. I think let's see, why don't we start? We'll start with Ann, our deputy chair. Ann, can you hear? Oh. Kathy, are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Rick. I don't think
Okay.
she's on. We can move on.
Okay, she may not be. All right. Well, the only thing, I don't really have any more specific update than that, other than when we get to the end, we'll have some upcoming dates, and we'll just share the next town hall dates. So how about Carrie Ann? We might be
Hey,
missing.
Rick.
Oh, there you are.
I'm here. Oh, I don't have there. Now I'm here.
There you are.
So I'm vice chair for communications and marketing, and just one comment about the town halls is that we do time our newsletter to go out before the town hall as much as possible, but we are going to communicate more aggressively about these meetings and who our speakers are, so that you guys can make sure to either provide insight if we're looking for speakers, or to be able to make sure that it's on your calendar. And we are doing a better job at reminding ourselves to record these so they are available to share with the fellows that aren't on the call. There's a very small percentage of us that are able to join live, so the more we can share that with other fellows, the better. So we are tracking another newsletter, and kind of to Rick's question, if there's anything that you want to see in our newsletters, anything that we could provide to the fellows to make sure you're up to date on everything that's happening in the society, let me know, and we'll be happy to include that as much as we can. We also are, encouraging folks, as Charlie already said, to join us at the Golden Eagle dinner. So there'll be more to come on that. So hopefully we'll get to see you all in March as much as possible. Over.
Okay, why don't we'll just move right along. And Sally, are you on the call?
She's not on the call, Rick.
Okay, let's see. And I think Patrice said she probably would not make the call, so I'm not sure.
I'm here.
Oh, you are.
I'm here,
Okay.
Rick.
I'll give it to you, Patrice.
Yeah. Hey, welcome everybody. Sorry I was late. I had a previous engagement, but super excited to be here. If we have any of our new fellows that are on the call this afternoon, I hope that you were able to make it, but I will be working with each of you individually just to sort of think about ways that that you can make your commitment statement a little bit smarter, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I know in some cases the time-bound piece may not necessarily make sense, but I think it's worthwhile to sort of think about, maybe we want to say in 3 years, I will have done X, Y, and Z. In 3 years, I will have personally mentored, 3 college STEM students or something like that. Kathy Aof and I have gone through, I asked Kathy to help me. She's seen a lot of these commitment statements over the years. So I'll be reaching out to each one of you individually with some thoughts for ways that you might tweak your commitment statement. I want to remind you, it is your commitment statement. So I'm going to give you suggestions, but ultimately it's your decision about a change that you might want to make to refine that. We'll be looking to try to wrap those up probably, early to mid-April, because obviously we'll need to have them finalized before JETSI when we have investiture. So that is all I have. Thank you so much, Rick.
Okay, Sean, I'll give it to you.
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everybody. Hey, the next biggest event we have coming up here is, of course, the Capital Week, and it's the Golden Eagle Awards Dinner. And that is on Monday, the 21st of March. It is an evening event. It'll be a dinner at 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. with a reception starting at 6. It's at the Bethesda North Marriott, right where Capital Week's being held. So we're kicking off that couple of days worth of events with this, and it will be a kind of a double bonus. There are actually 4 awardees being recognized: 2021 and 2022 Golden Eagle Award winner will be honored at that event, making it for last year's, which we couldn't do. And my request of you out there is for the class of 2022. We'd love to have you there. I would actually like to have you recognize, stand up those that are class of 2022 members, and also to have you incorporate you into the program and have you lead respective toasts for each of the services and the protocol, if you will, make you part of that ceremony. Nothing like being jump right into the fire and knowing that you're part of the fellows family and such an important event. So I would ask all those that are 2022 class members, of course, Rick Fernandez, you were called out by Christine, so aloha to you there in Hawaii. You and fellow classmates, hopefully you can talk amongst yourself, and please let me know who plans on attending. I'm not sure how many have actually registered for the event yet or at all, but give that some serious consideration. We'd love to have you involved with that. And also at the Capital Week, we'll have a fellows luncheon on that Wednesday. It's the final day of the events. Will be a lunch just prior to really the last networking session. And it's meant to be more of a social event. Our last luncheon that we had was during SPC, and the feedback that I received seemed to be favorable. There was no negative feedback I received, but it was to do a similar forum to this, where 3 of the most recent classes, 2019 through 2021, were each represented with a fellows rep and they spoke to what their commitments were. And I think you can see the value in each of those testimonials and all the ideas that spawned from that. I've been looking at the chat box here during this meeting here, and there's been great discussion of, hey, middle schools are great, and I would like to see other commitments. A shout out to Pat Hogelboom for his input that, hey, how about 2-minute overviews of different commitments for the class of 2022? So that's something to consider, and certainly we want to make this upcoming program, luncheon program, something of value to you. And so please send in input, just as Rick has asked for inputs for this town hall forum. I would ask similarly of you, if you wouldn't mind, just send your inputs to me, things you'd like to see, discuss. But our going in position is, let's make this more of a social event, get to truly know each other, and force ourselves to sit at tables we don't necessarily otherwise know people from. So let's continue to do this. And I agree with you, too, that there's tremendous class pride, but let's kind of share the ideas between classes, not just ruminate them within. Then after that, the next biggest event we have, of course, is the Fellows Investiture, where we will officially invest the class of 2022. So that will take place, of course, at Jetsy. That event will be a luncheon event on Tuesday, the 10th of May, and look forward to that event and formally having those folks invested and celebrating with everybody in that. And at that event also at Jetsy, we will have another Fellows Luncheon, again, meant to be your forum. Let's make it something that's of value to you based on your own direct inputs. So with that said, that's really all I've got to pass on. That's all. Any questions for me?
Okay, thank you, Sean. And then our last update will be by Philios.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Philios Angelidis. For those of you I haven't met yet, I'm the Vice Chair for Mentoring. My contribution to this meeting today I wanted to put a spotlight on one of the articles that we had in the newsletter that just went out, and in case any of you haven't seen it, over the past year I've been talking about the two initiatives that I'm trying to champion as on behalf of the fellows on the mentoring side. And one is the contributions of fellows and impacting the careers of folks along the full life cycle of evolution of a person within our society. And as you can see from the newsletter, the focus of the initiative that I've been working on last year, and we got it done in early November, is Joint Base Andrews mentoring event that we had. It was in collaboration with the DC Post. We had over 70 attendees, half from the government side, the military side, and the other half industry. And we had panels of speakers, of which half of them were fellows. And during that event, we basically focused on sharing best practices and technical knowledge on 3 different topics that were selected by the base. And I was really excited. We got great attendance, and by the comments that we got from the base leadership, was very well received. And it was spotlighted in our newsletter. So I urge you to look at it. And in addition to that, I urge you to think of other opportunities where we can replicate the success of that event, not just 1 and 2 times, but nationally. Hopefully, make it a standard practice to have in every one of our regions to have at least an example of engagement between fellows and local installations or other groups within the society that can use mentoring. And I included in that article the template of our value proposition that we bring as fellows, talking to different kinds of topics along the timeline and the variety of topics we can address. So anyway, that's a great success story that we're going to be building on. I do have a couple of other locations where they do have an interest in doing a similar activity. But for all of you on the call today, and we have a pretty robust group, think of any other sources, and if there's a place where you have some influence with an installation, a field chapter, a student chapter, or anything else along the timeline, just share with me, and let's work together to organize such an event. The other part that I wanted to share that started is the mentoring of the posts. You know, our posts are on the front lines, and some of them are smaller in size, and they have obviously great ambitions, but they can use some mentoring. So right now I'm working with, as I mentioned before, the Mid-Maryland Post. We've got two initiatives that are on the starting stage. One is a student chapter that they have, the University of Maryland, and we have an event coming up in about a month or so, part of a career fair. And then the other one is a mentoring event for their small business members of the Post. We had a kickoff prep meeting on that. We are soon to be releasing an announcement to their group of members, and hopefully we'll host that event sometime in the mid-spring timeframe. So those are two initiatives. I'm hoping by the summertime, when we have the next newsletter, I will have a full report on how those two events came about. And the idea here is to replicate this kind of mentoring events and leveraging the fellows within our society to be part of engaging with these groups and transferring knowledge. So I appreciate your support, and any ideas you have, feel free to reach out to me. And thank you again for attending. And I'll turn it over to my colleague, Rick. Oh,
Thank
sorry.
you, Julio.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, thank you. I'm going to ask Kathy in a second to see if there's any loose ends that she'd like to cover. But before we do that, I just want to thank everybody for attending. You know, getting 50 people or so on these virtual calls is really a great thing for us. You know, that's progress. We would hope that we get them so large that we have a problem with the platform we're using, but we're not quite there yet. So thanks for that. Special thanks really to Lorene and to Christine for taking the time out to talk about what they're doing, and also Jill for giving us the lowdown on the boundary changes. I do want to mention one thing, because I don't think it got mentioned, but on the future town halls, you know, we take feedback seriously, and so we'll be sending save the dates out maybe 3 weeks ahead or so, because there are some people who might have tried to schedule around to be able to make this, but they had work commitments that they were kind of already involved in, and so in the future we'll try to make that easier for you. But with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy to kind of wrap us up, and thank you all for participating.
Thanks, Rick. Just a couple things. I wanted to give a shout out to all of our mentors. They were all fellows that volunteered to mentor transitioning veterans for our career transition workshop. Mike Johnson was one of them, and we also have a transitioning veteran on, Patrick Hogaboom, that took part in that. So it was very beneficial. I was very impressed with how many people responded. We had so many mentors that we couldn't even fill, you know, all of their time with appointments. So we really appreciate that. And as we as we get the new EMS, we're hoping to have sort of a database of mentors that we can call on for things like this, without having to send an all call to all fellows, you know, but we could still do that as well. And the other thing I just wanted to mention is for Golden Eagle Dinner, as you think about attending and who you're going to bring, consider bringing a young professional to the Golden Eagle Dinner. And the same thing goes for the Aof Investiture Luncheon. Unlike previous luncheons that are closed to everybody but the fellows, the Aof Investiture Luncheon at GATC will be open to anybody. There will be tickets, and you can purchase as many tickets as you want. The tickets will only be like $25, pretty minimal, just to cover the cost of lunch. But you can purchase 5 of them and then give them to all your friends at JATC so that they can attend the investiture and luncheon. So keep that in mind. That's all I have, Rick.
Okay, well, with that, unless there are any final comments from anyone or questions, I guess we can put a wrap on this town hall. And I just really appreciate everybody carving out the time to be part of this. And I feel like the things that people are sharing is really valuable and fun. So thank you all. Really appreciate it.